Madam na lashes a dey do o. Na family I carry for head o. Na me be pepper, na me be salt. I no get money, una suffer di.
In the quiet town of Umoji, there once lived a man named Papa Emeka and his wife, a gentle woman whose laughter could be heard from 3 compounds away. They had one child, a daughter with bright eyes and steady hands, whom they named Chiamaka. God is beautiful. She was 5 years old when the fever took her mother in the rainy season, and the house that once smelled of palm oil and laughter grew silent as a grave. 2 years later, Papa Emeka remarried. Her name was Nkechi. She arrived at the compound smiling, carrying a basket of tomatoes and a daughter of her own, a plump, giggling girl named Onyinye. The neighbors said Chiamaka was lucky to have a new mother. They did not know that the smile Nkechi wore that day was the last kind thing her face would ever do in that house. By the time Chiamaka was 10, she was no longer a daughter in that house. She was a hand, a pair of feet that fetched water before sunrise, a back that bent over firewood while Onyinye sat on the veranda, plaiting ribbons into her own hair and calling out for Gary. Nkechi had a trade. She was known in Umoji for her skillful hands with nails and lashes, and women came from as far as Newe to sit under her tent. But as the years passed and Chiamaka grew into a young woman with clever, patient fingers, Nkechi grew lazy. She taught the girl the trade not out of love, but out of convenience. And once Chiamaka's hands proved steadier than her own, Nkechi stopped working altogether. She sat back and let her stepdaughter become the shop. Every morning, Chiamaka rose before the cock crowed, swept the store, arranged the lash trays, and opened for customers by 7. By evening, when the last client left with fresh nails glistening, Nkechi would appear from nowhere, palm already open. Nkechi would say, Bring the money. All of it. Every kobo. You did not carry this body inside you for 9 months. I do not owe you explanations. Chiamaka would hand over every naira, and Nkechi would count it twice in front of her, as though the girl were a stranger who might have stolen from herself. There were nights Chiamaka walked until her fingers cramped, only to return to a pot with nothing in it but water and pepper seeds. Onyinye would be sprawled on the parlor floor, belly full, watching a film on her phone.
Is it my fault you did not cook fast enough? Mama said latecomers eat air.
Chiamaka learned to hide bread under her wrapper during the day. Small messes stolen from her own labor, just so her stomach would not sing itself to sleep. Once, a wealthy customer gave Chiamaka a blouse as a tip. A small, ordinary kindness. Nkechi tore it from her hands the same evening and gave it to Onyinye, saying a common girl like Chiamaka had no business wearing customer things. Nkechi, you will wear what I give you and be grateful I did not throw you out on the road the day your father brought you to me like an inheritance he could not refuse. Papa Emeka watched all of this from the corner of the room. The way a man watches rain fall on a roof he no longer has the strength to fix. Late at night, when Nkechi had gone to her sister's compound to gossip, he would creep to Chiamaka's mat and press a few coins into her palm. Papa Emeka, my daughter, I see you. I see everything. Forgive your father. I am not a strong man. But the moment they heard Nkechi's slippers on the sand outside, he would sit up straight, clear his throat, and back at Chiamaka as though scolding her for laziness. A performance of cruelty to protect himself from the real thing. Chiamaka understood. She loved him still. But understanding a man's fear did not put food in her belly. By the time Chiamaka turned 20, her name had traveled beyond Umoji. Women spoke of the quiet girl with the golden hands, the one who could make lashes sit like a crown and nails gleam like glass. One evening, a regular customer, a businesswoman visiting from Lagos, sat in Chiamaka's chair and made her an offer that would change everything. The customer:
My dear, I have a shop
in Lagos looking for a nail and lash technician exactly like you.
The pay is more than you have
The pay
ever
is
seen.
more than
Come
you
with
have
me next
ever
week.
seen. Come with me next week. Chiamaka's hands trembled with a joy she had not felt since her mother was alive. She ran home that evening breathless and knelt before Nkechi to share the news, expecting, foolishly perhaps, that even a wicked woman might rejoice for her.
You are going nowhere. It is Oninye who will go to Lagos. But Mama, Oninye does not know how to do lashes. She has never held a nail file in her life. Then she will learn there. You think Lagos is your birthright? Sit down before I make you sit down.
That night, Chiamaka cried the kind of tears that come from a place older than the offense itself. Years of hunger, years of silence, years of watching another girl eat the fruits of her own hands. She cried until her chest ached, until the mat beneath her was damp, until there was nothing left in her but a hard, quiet resolve. In the deepest part of the night, when the compound had gone still, and even the crickets seemed to be holding their breath, Chiamaka rose from her mat. She crept into Nkechi's room, knelt beside the bed, and slid her hand beneath the mattress where she knew the woman kept her savings wrapped in an old wrapper cloth. Chiamaka, whispering to herself, God, forgive me. But I have worked for this money with these two hands. I am only taking what is mine. Guilt sat heavy on her chest as she counted the notes in the dark. But beneath the guilt was something stronger. The memory of every empty pot, every stolen naira, every night she had gone to bed with her stomach folding in on itself. Before the cock could crow twice, Chiamaka was gone. A small bag on her shoulder, boarding a night bus that groaned its way out of Umoji towards Lagos. She did not sleep on that bus. She sat with her forehead against the cold window, watching the darkness rush past. Her heart caught somewhere between terror and freedom. Somewhere past Onitsha, doubt crept in like a thief of its own. Chiamaka, what have I done? What will they eat?
What will they eat?
How will they survive without me? Chimo, what have I done?
Chimo, what have I done?
But beneath the fear, anger rose to steady her. A slow burning anger for every year stolen from her. Every dream postponed for a family that saw her only as a resource to be squeezed. By the time the sun rose over the Lagos skyline, Chiamaka had made a decision. She would not go back with empty hands. She would go back a queen or not at all. Lagos swallowed Chiamaka whole the way it swallows every dreamer. Noisy, merciless, indifferent to her tears. For 3 days she wandered from one lash studio to another, offering to work for almost nothing, sleeping in motor parks with her bag as a pillow. It was at a small salon in Surulere that fortune finally turned its face towards her. The owner, a stern but big-hearted woman named Madame Beatrice, watched Chiamaka fix a client's lashes with such precision that she set down her own tools to watch. Madame Beatrice,
Where did you learn this? Your hands do not belong on the street. Come, work for me.
Work for me.
Sleep in my boys' quarters until you find your feet. Thank you.
Chiamaka wept. Not from sorrow this time, but from the shock of kindness offered freely without a debt attached. Madam Beatrice became the mother the world had taken from her twice. She enrolled Chiamaka in evening classes to complete her education, funded a certified beauty training course, and within 2 years, helped her open her own studio. Small at first, then bigger, then unmistakably one of the finest lash and nail houses in all of Lagos State. Chiamaka's hands, once used to fill another woman's pocket, now built an empire of her own. Clients came from Lekki, from Ikoyi, from as far as Abuja. She trained other girls who reminded her some nights of herself. 3 years after the night boss carried her away in shame, Chiamaka drove back into Umoji in a car that gleamed under the afternoon sun, dust rising behind her like the closing of an old chapter. The compound she once fled in tears had grown thin and tired, its roof sagging, its walls hungry for paint. Nkechi came out first, squinting against the glare, and froze when she recognized the woman stepping out of the car. Papa Emeka's mouth fell open. Oninye peeked from behind the door, wide-eyed. Nkechi, stammering.
Chiamaka, Chiamaka, is that really you, my daughter?
Chiamaka, is that really you, my daughter? Chiamaka did not raise her voice. She did not need to. She simply opened the trunk of her car, and inside sat bags of rice, cartons of provisions, and an envelope thick with money, enough to renovate the entire compound from roof to floor. Chiamaka,
I have not come to fight old battles, Mama. I have only come to show you that the hands you underestimated built something you could never take from me.
Papa Emeka wept openly this time, no longer needing to hide his love behind performance. Workmen arrived within the week. By the following month, the house stood repainted, re-roofed, its floors freshly tiled, a monument built entirely from the labor Nkechi had once stolen without shame. It was then that Nkechi, swallowing whatever pride remained in her, took Chiamaka's hand and begged, "Nkechi, my daughter, take Onyinye with you to Lagos. Teach her what you know. She has no future rotting in this village." Chiamaka's first instinct was to refuse outright. Memory does not forget so easily. But she thought of her own mother, gone too soon, and of the God who had lifted her from a night boss into a kingdom. Mercy, she decided, cost her nothing that pride had not already cost her more. Chiamaka, fine.
Village.
She will come.
She will come, but Lagos
does not carry lazy hands, Mama.
I will, my daughter.
Tell her that before she packs her bag. Onyinye arrived in Lagos with 3 suitcases and the same entitlement she had worn like perfume her whole life. She woke late, wandered the city all morning, ate whatever she found in the fridge, and left dirty plates piled in the sink like small monuments to her old habits. When Chiamaka returned from the studio each night, exhausted, she would find no food, no swept floor, no washed clothes. Only Onyinye sprawled before the television, waiting to be saved. One evening, after a 14-hour day at the studio, Chiamaka came home to find the sink still full from the morning, and Onyinye demanding to know what was for dinner. Something in Chiamaka, long buried, finally rose to the surface. Things have changed here,
Things
Onyinye.
have changed here, Onyinye.
If you do not cook, you will not eat.
If you do not wash,
you will wear dirty clothes until your hands remember what soap is for.
One single naira you did not sweat
I will not
for.
give
You
you
will go out.
one single naira you did not sweat
hands
for.
the way I learnt it
You
with
will
mine.
go out. you will learn the trade with your own hands, the way I learned it with mine. Onyinye laughed at first, certain it was a passing mood. But the days that followed proved otherwise. No food appeared unless she cooked it herself. No clean blouse waited unless her own hands had washed it. Chiamaka sent her daily to the studio to sweep floors and sterilize tools before she was permitted to touch a single client's hand. The same apprenticeship every other girl there had endured, no exceptions carved out for the stepmother's daughter. 2 months in, the wayward light in Oninye's eyes had dimmed into something quieter. Hollow cheeks, calloused palms, a girl finally acquainted with the weight of a day's honest labor. One night, she came to Chiamaka's room and knelt, the way Chiamaka herself had once knelt before in Kechi's bed, with guilt and hunger in equal measure. Oninye, Sister, please.
I understand
now.
I look like someone who
wants to die.
I am sorry.
I am truly
I am truly sorry.
Chiamaka sat beside her for a long moment before she finally spoke. Her voice softer now, the anger spent. Everything I have done to you these 2 months is nothing compared to what your mother did to me across many years.
I did
not do it to break you, Onyinye. I did it so that you would finally see what I carried in silence for so long. Now that you have seen it, I will not leave you here to rot in it. Chiamaka enrolled Onyinye in school the following term, paying every fee herself, and kept her at the studio on weekends to finish the training she had begun, properly this time, with patience instead of punishment. You will stay in this house, and you will be fed, and you will be loved.
But only for as long as you choose to become a better woman than the girl who arrived here.
3 suitcases
The choice
deep
from
in
here
laziness.
is entirely yours.
The choice from here is entirely yours. Onyinye nodded through her tears, and for the first time in her life, she meant it. Word reached Umoji of the transformation, and even Nkechi, hardened as she was, wept the day she heard her daughter had graduated top of her class in beauty therapy, standing on a stage her own cruelty could never have built. As for Chiamaka, she never forgot the girl who once knelt in the dark, trembling, stealing back what was rightfully hers. She kept that memory close, not as a wand, but as a compass. For she had learned, in the hardest way a daughter can learn it, that suffering does not have to end where it began. Sometimes, it ends in the very hands that once had nothing and now hold